Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So Merry Christmas to all, and as a special treat to myself, I bought myself a present. I'm going to be using 5 chants and some murmurs and some other things in order to side grade AS Renry to OG Renry. Nice!
Stop flexing, Dad!
And I'm going to put that present to very, very good use. I'm going to try to take on this true fire spirit, and this one was giving me fits. I would say that all of these new bosses are very challenging. I mean, it's a fun challenge, however, very, very tiresome indeed. So I spent a few hours, practicing in between lunch and dinner, and I have a roast in the oven, and there we go. So turn 1, we're going to use Radius to VC in, and the reason why is she has a guaranteed rage on all enemies, and turn 1 for the boss is to knock back one target. In the case of rage, guaranteed radius. We already have Slash Zone activated, so turn 2 I'm going to bring in Meryl. Her 35% elemental shield VC helps protect your team against that physical fire attack AoE. And what we really want to do is get rid of these spirits before turn 4 of the rotation. It is a 6-turn fixed rotation, and the reason why is if you don't get rid of the spirit, it will activate Zone again and you'll die. Turn 3 is I guess it's 99% HP kill, and also the spirit will boost up the boss again. So you won't die on turn 3, which allows us to open up on turn 4 before it does its Mega Fire AoE. So we just activated all our special abilities. Keep in mind that we are using Melee here, and Melee is great in the fact that you really do need a frontline unit that can do Slash, which boosts your bar, as well as heal at the same time without really costing any additional moves. In the case of using her Cloud Pierce, her final move at the end of turn will match whatever element you do, and if you're doing non-elemental, it'll match it with a non-elemental attack as well as a heal. So I will go over that more in detail in my 5-star review of Melee when I get to it. However, in this case, she is serving us very well in terms of helping us beat the boss. Of course, Radius is the one of 2 Slash Zone centers, and keep in mind, I do have Crest in here for a reason, and the reason is since I do have Radius out front, I am able to bring in Crest to re-establish Fire Zone right away. And keep in mind that we have all the boosts required from Renry as well as Elga. Now, for those who are not familiar with it, Renry's Judgment applies 50% speed down, 25% power and int down, and her Lasting Scars AoE slash double XL single target move is enhanced by the number of debuffs on the enemy. For Elga Manifest, you have the Binary Drive, which applies pain and slash resistance down while increasing her speed, and the Quattro Drive is 4 times single target attack, which can really kill those mobs quickly and great for spamming on AoEs against single target bosses. In the case of Crest, keep in mind that when he is brought to 25% or less, he changes his Demonic Tiger Blade to the Dark Blade, which you saw there, multi-hit AoE plus heal full self on himself only, of course. Now, this is where I found that the most difficult part is transitioning from HP stopper to killing off those spirits, and you actually have to do it twice, which you'll see in this particular video. I'm sure you probably watched many other videos of people beating Rogi or Rogi. I'm kind of late to the party, and to be frank, I mean, we do what we can. I tried not to watch too many other people's strategies, so really, at the end of the day, we want to figure out all our strategies ourselves, and, I may have a very similar team to other people, but I'm hoping that my rotation is a little bit unique. At least you can learn something from it and apply it to your own strategies. I will also say that I think this kind of team might be very useful against all the different spirits, being that even though they're all elemental, they actually all have the same 6-turn rotation, although their kind of boosts from the spirits are a little bit different, and I know that the Earth one has a shield. Okay, so in this case, we already have a full bar. Keep in mind that after the 4th turn AoE fire, you have a 5th turn single target elemental physical attack that also can apply confusion, and then the 6th turn is 1800 damage fixed slash damage. You can't do anything about that. So in this case, we have taken that hit. As long as your team has enough HP to take that hit, you can activate a large AF here. Now, the reason why you're going to do it on turn 6 is that I don't know if you noticed, but on turn 1, when the spirits have re-established from the HP stopper, it right away gives an elemental and physical resistance shielding to each other, so to the bosses as well as to the mobs. And so if you try to do an AF in any of the 5 other turns, you're going to run into problems in that your damage is just not going to be enough. I don't know what kind of percentage shield it is, but in my experience, at least 25% reduction in damage. So when I was activating this large AF on other turns while the shield was up, I'm only doing about 30 million. And this with a pretty stacked team and lots of Pain Grasta, since we do have Elga as a Pain setter. Now, since the shield is down, we were able to activate the 46 million AF, and now we have 2 spirits again. So this last part was the most tricky of all, and I actually died a lot of times here. So I wish there was a way to kind of have a save state where you can kind of restart where you kind of made a mistake last. I know that in iOS, obviously that's not possible. I hear that on emulators, you could probably do something like that where you can kind of replay a certain section over and over again. Unfortunately, I don't have that benefit, so we're just going to have to play around it and see if this works. In this case, first turn, we don't have a zone setting, so we're not building up the bar to any great extent. However, non-elemental damage still punches through elemental zones in the fact that the damage is not reduced on my end. And so as long as we have boosted ourselves, keep in mind that we have Slashing Saber that increased Renri's attack by 100% non-type attacks, and we also used Binary Drive to not reapply pain, as well as slash resistance down. We're going to single target those mobs one at a time. As long as we kill them before turn 4 kind of ends, then they won't reestablish zone, in which case we can slowly build up a bar and win the game. Note that in turn remember, in turn 2, you do have to bring in Mario again to the elemental shield it so that you can survive that physical fire AoE attack. Now, I know that this is another detail that I didn't mention. One of Radius's great abilities is not only that she can rage, she actually has a 3-turn Aurora Force, and I actually cast that elemental barrier during AF in the first phase of the attack. So I'm sorry that I didn't mention that earlier. The reason why I did that is so that you don't have to rely on applying Aurora Force, because remember, right away after turn 1, which is the knockback attack, turn 2 is right away that elemental attack, AoE, and in which case having that extra type shield gives you an extra layer of protection, so that if by chance you can't rotate in a Mario, your team still has a reasonable chance of surviving. Also bear in mind that at times we don't have Mila up front to cast Cloud Pierce and have that heal at the end of turn. If you do have a healer up front, either Mila and or Mario, you can actually have both, and that will actually give you abilities, extra abilities, being that Pure Cradle can be cast at the beginning of turn, Mila's heal is the end of turn. Not to mention, if you rely, you can cast Aurora Force to protect one, and then heal at the end of turn for Mila, so that you have enough HP to survive turn 6, especially because that is the turning point where you're going to be activating your large AF if possible. If you're wondering why I don't activate AFs on other turns, like I said, unless you can end it or change phases guaranteed, like in the case of the first phase where I activated on turn 3 after the 99% HP attack, you will get wiped by the turn 4 hit. In the case of turn 5, if you do it, the fact that you get applied confusion at a high percentage means that you could essentially have yourself die. And one of my previous attempts, I actually had a confusion on one of my DPS, and it actually killed my other DPS health because confusion wasn't I didn't have Mario up front at that particular rotation and didn't cure leaf away. And yeah, it quattro drive one of my characters, and so you just lose one, and honestly speaking, you do need all 6 in my opinion. The extra 2 zone setters is great in that you can have one up front, use the other one to reestablish zone, or in the case of I even had both up front, it still allows you for some chance of survival. Not only that, but Radius can give the boost to all slash types by 15% per move in that turn, and you have Distortion Blade from Crest giving you that 40% boost for katanas and swords, all of which are pretty much on our team with the exception of Renri. So, wow, a lot of work. Finally beat that. Again, really apologize for the delay, and I'm actually really happy about that. So here's my loadout as usual. And note that everything's either Void Grasta, which is non-elemental type damage, or Pain. And so for those who aren't at this point yet, you really want to get to the point where you're grinding Antiquity Gyrolia, because that's the only place that I know of currently that can get Pain and Poison Grasta, and really prioritize getting those because in most of your end game type boss killing teams, you will have at least one Pain or Poison setter, especially ones that ignore resistance with those manifest weapons, and you'll be able to deal a ton of damage. In the case of Radius, I actually used that 2-hit non-elemental to help fight this boss. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.